What's up, everybody? It's Chief Sabi Indigenous, the Realist. Haya, Haya, Haya power. If you haven't heard about the Anchor app, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Chief Sabi Indigenous, Realist, the Realist. Haya, Haya, Haya power back in the booth. Hey, what up, everybody? It's Chief Sabi Indigenous. You now tuned in to the Psychology with Sabi podcast. In this episode, I'm going to be starting out the segment that I'm going to call 20 Keys of Freedom. Now, I'm going to start off with saying that this isn't one of the keys, but this is always the first key. You know what I'm saying? But this isn't going to be one of the 20. But we have to make the open statement that so-called black people, so-called Latinos, so-called Mexicans, so-called etc., everybody that fits into that category, so-called Negroes, colors, African Americans, you know who I'm talking about, that whole group of people, including the people from the islands, everybody of the Americas. We are originally from America. We did not get brung over here on boats. I stand by that truth. It is a debatable topic, and I'm ready to debate anybody. Put up $5,000, and we can debate anytime, any platform, anywhere. Call me out. Now, I just want to say peace, everybody. With this COVID-19 thing going on, we have to realize that, you know what I'm saying, the mind can be the devil's workshop. You know what I'm saying? An idle mind is the devil's workshop. Pardon me. So, with that being said, if we know that, then let's give the mind something to do so it won't be idling. Let me give you 20 keys to be thought-provoking and lead you to freedom. They're of freedom. Now, the first I will say is this. The Grand Canyon. Number one is going to be about the Grand Canyon. And I'm spelling canyon Khanyon. And the reason why I'm spelling it like that is because the reason why I'm spelling it like that is because Khan, right? Khan or Khan, Khan is actually a word for ruler, and we'll get back to that. Right now we're just going to say that is a word for ruler, for leader, for the original people. We're going to say that is a word they used. Okay? Now, the Grand Canyon. The Grand Canyon is the entrance into the hollow earth. Now, most people hear about the earth being flat. That is a fact. We'll get into that on another topic. I'm going to have a flat earth podcast. But this one is the 20 keys. Now, it's true that the earth is flat, but it's also true that that not only flat, the world is infinitely continuous. It's an infinite plane. It stretches out and it just keeps on going and going. But it also, as far as we know, it goes infinitely deep, or it is at least deep to a certain number of miles. So it goes long down. There is no core. We are not spinning. We are on an infinite plane. You get what I'm saying? With an infinite earth. And that's where you get the video game Terraria from. And where there's levels. You can build levels to your kingdom. And you go to different worlds through going through different levels in different planes. We'll get on that. I'll have we're going to have all kind of podcasts. But this one is the 20 keys. Okay. Now, it is the entrance to the hollow earth. And the hollow earth is the home to the original people and original creatures who once upon a time ruled the land that... See, wait, I have to say this. Point 2 is going to be about buried cities. But point 2 really, we can leave Grand Canyon. It's just stating the fact that the Grand Canyon is not a natural occurrence, and that was an ancient mining site, and it also became one of the entrances to Hollow Earth. There's multiple entrances, and I'll give those out in the Hollow Earth series. But right now, look at each 20 keys. Every time we do a 20 keys, I'm going to come out with a podcast series on that, and I'm going to update it frequently. So, buried cities. Now, with the buried cities, I have here in parentheses who, what, where, when, and why, and how. Okay? And the reason why I put those questions with the who, what, where, when, and how, and why, with those questions, we can figure out the sum total of knowledge on anything in existence. Like when someone gives you a piece of knowledge or a piece of information, you must ask the who, what, where, when, why, and how. I'll come out with a who, what, where, when, and why, and how series also. But the buried cities, so basically the ancients, upon knowing, because the ancients had sight, they had foretelling, they could see the future, and they also had mathematical calculations where they could predict the future and other things. We had oracles, we had spiritual guides, we had shamans, we had Hayoka empaths, we had all kind of intergalactical, interplanar beings also. Now, when they knew the coming of the European or the coming of the Aryan race, see, when the Aryans came down to what we call now the Eastern Hemisphere and conquered over there, we already knew they were coming. And damn, I don't have a lighter. We already knew they were coming, and we also knew that eventually they would come for us. Though they did not know about us, we knew that eventually they would come for us also. Now, so the Aryans, if y'all don't know, came out of the Ural Mountains. The Ural Mountains are a region that separates India from what is now called Russia. It's a long mountain range, and it spreads all the way down to from what we call Russia, what we call Europe, and what we call Asia. And that's the separation. And that's why, if you notice, India actually has the same type shape as South America. You know what I'm saying? I really need to stop, you know what I'm saying? It's so hard to find conscious people to build with. In building, you're going to hear me use that term frequently, because all podcasts are builds in my eyes. I am the master builder. I am the only master builder in existence in this day and age, in this era. And the master builder is someone who builds the temple inside man, and who's a master at his craft and possesses all the tools. All right. We'll get on that. We have a podcast about masonry versus Freemasonry, and et cetera, and et cetera, et cetera. The master builder versus master teacher series, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, buried cities. So the buried cities were buried by those that used the entrances. Now, the different entrances, some like to call them gates. They like to call them North Gate, South Gate, West Gate, East Gate. You know what I'm saying? But the gates actually lead. You have different gates. You have subterranean gates. You have world gates. You have planetary gates. And you have interplanetary gates, spiritual gates, energy gates, etc. And we'll keep on we'll build on that some more. Now, the buried cities, the original people were called, the oldest name that I can find personally in my research is Murs. Now, you'll see the term Moor, you'll see the term Mur as far as M-U-U-R and M-O-O-R, Mur and Moor. But the term I'm talking about is M-E-R. And we're going to we're gonna build on that more in the future. Now, and that's where you get the claims of there being mermen and mermaids and etc., because they were always seen to come straight out of the sea, and they would dock their crafts and swim out to the shores. Okay, now, so we're gonna call the people who dwell under this plane and the people who originally inhabited this world, which is called Earth. The different worlds are all on the infinite plane. There's no planets up in the sky. There's the only thing that's up there is stars, clouds, air, natural gases, elements, the ethers, etc. You know what I'm saying? When people see a UFO sighting, they're really seeing a UFO, and there really are aliens in there. And the aliens are just people from other planets, just like what they say. They're extraterrestrials. Extraterrestrial is a breakdown. It is 3 words in one. And extra, which means more, like the word more, like there being more in additional to. So we have more, then we have terrestrial, which is, terra, which is terra meaning land. So we have more, and then we have land. So we have more land. So extra terra is more land, and then astral. So terra astral. Extraterrestrial is broken down extra terra astral, and the astral is the stars, and they're talking about the astral actually means far away. So we have more land far away, or people from more land from other lands, extraterrestrials, aka aliens. When a foreigner comes to America, what do we call them? An alien. When you have an illegal immigrant who has unregistered, undocumented, or overstayed their visa, what do you call them? An alien. So when the Europeans invaded the Americas, North, South, Central, and America, in the islands, what do you call them? Aliens. Okay. Now, so we do know that an alien invasion happened as early as 1492, and that's when Christopher Columbus sailed over here. Now, so we do know this was Earth. The Western Hemisphere went under an alien invasion. Anyway, these Mers, knowing the future already, knowing what was finna happen, these Mers buried their cities. Now, we can witness buried cities all over the world. Look at any city you can find, any grand ancient city, your ancient cities. The ancient Mesoamerica, the Yucatan Peninsula, the ancient Rome, the ancient Egypt, which used to be Kemet, ancient Israel, etc., etc., etc. All the ancient dynasties, even in Asian countries. Now, those the perfect example is Rome and Greece. You get the Greeks dying off. Their rule, their dynasty, their kingdom, their empire dies off, and what? You get the Roman Empire. And still to this day, they're uncovering things from ancient Greece in Rome. And you see how they even recycled the gods. Now, and we got to know that all the gods of all the countries, or all the continents of all the planes, are actually ancient autochthons, or ancient Americans, or ancient Americans. You know what I'm saying? Which is be ancient Americans, not Native Americans, not the ones that are on the federally recognized reservations. But reservations is one of the 20 keys. And let me keep going. Now, they buried the cities because they knew that eventually someone would come over here, and the various look, inside those buried cities is where we get technology. what we call technology. Now, its technology can be broke down as technical knowledge. And then they put the Y on the end and took the E off to put it in use. Like they're saying technical knowledge, and then the Y is saying in use. And there's a reason for this. And that brings us up to the third point, which is electricity. Now, we know electricity is a source that we tap to heat our homes, to give us light, to power all sorts of things. Matter of fact, everything that's every kind of power in existence is electricity. Even your nuclear power, like on the atomic level, on the nuclear level, that is electricity going on, just at a higher velocity and a higher frequency. Now, electricity was harnessed way back before the Atlanteans, before the people of Mood, before the people of Lemuria, before all the ancient dynasties. Electricity has always been around, and that's where you get your thunder gods, the ones that throw the electricity. You know what I'm saying? And that's where you get your thunder and lightning today. We think that they lie to us and tell us that lightning comes down. But actually, lightning comes down, but it also shoots out of the earth. You know what I'm saying? There's a war going on. But anyway, that brings us to the fourth point, or the fourth key in this segment, which is the electric bodies. Now, we know we're physical beings. We know from various texts, various religious books, various ancient knowledge, even science has to admit that we are spiritual beings. But a lot of people don't know we are also astral beings. We are also energetic beings, and we are also electrical beings. Now, when you look into ask your doctor, say, do I have electricity in my body? He gotta tell you the right answer, and that's yes. You have electricity running through your blood, through every cell and every atom in your body. Plus, electricity is in your brain, and that's how they know if you're brain dead or if your brain is not active, because there's no electricity up there. You get what I'm saying? There's no electricity going on. Now, our electrical bodies are actually what power the cell phones. We're actually what power the grid from us walking. The more we walk, the more electricity is circling around us, and the more electrical force we get, because we get it from what? Grounding. We are the positive. And when we ground, we pick up electricity. And that's why they made us, that's why they started making shoes. You know what I'm saying? Originally, we used to make shoes out of what? We made shoes out of animal skins without the what? Rubber soles. Because the sole of your foot is what grounds you. It's the negative part. And we know that the soul, S-O-L, is our actual S-O-U-L, and it's actually the sun, the place where they recycle the souls. And that's why the original name for sun is S-O-L, way before it became R-E or R-E-Y or R-A, which is Ra and Ray. You know what I'm saying? Those are just attributes. But the sun name is really soul. You know what I'm saying? Soul. And our children are really sons. S-U-N. Okay, check this out. Now, our children are sun and moon. Sun and moon. The sun and moon. Our daughters are moon. Our sons are sun. You get it? Now, let me keep going. That brings us into the next topic. Now, when I say we walk the earth and we have electrical bodies, and from walking the earth, we create electricity. We conduct electricity. You know what I'm saying? We stimulate life and matter. My vibrations. Check out my Vibe and Vibrations podcast. If it's not on here, I'll re-upload it. But our vibes and vibrations activate sparks inside of each other's brains. So my vibes and vibrations, my voice is actually making you think, and it's sparking your neurons inside your head. Check it out. Look it up about the electrical mind and electrical body. Now, so if you ever notice hitting the ground, right? Stomping the ground. When a child gets mad, they throw a tantrum. Now, the tantrum releases that energy and then puts it back into the ground. Do you get what I'm saying? And the closest beings around them catch it. Anytime energy is expelled into the ground, you know what I'm saying? That is a way to bring energy out of the ground anytime you stomp the ground or pound the ground or hit the ground with something, and you're sending those vibrations in there, you can receive energy and send down energy. You can send energy to another person. You get what I'm saying? That's where you get the rain dance, the ghost dance, and etc. That's why you see this dancing method that we have. You know what I'm saying? We're going to get into that. I'm going to make YouTube videos about dancing. I can't show you all on the podcast. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I'll do the podcast version just to drop the information. But anyway, that brings us to the 5th topic, the 5th key, which is ley lines. Now, ley lines are up under the ground, and they are pure energy lines that are tapped and harnessed by these so-called 5G towers, these radio towers, all these towers, these poles, these electric poles, etc. That's how it does it. So when we pound the ground or we stomp the yard or dance, etc., we ground, we actually are tapping into ley lines. And when you're stomping the ground or dancing or grounding or just sitting, chilling with your soul's grounded still, your antennas are out, natural hair, no chemicals, no bleaching chemicals or perming chemicals. You can bleach your hair. Either way, the melanin is still there. You can't bleach the melanin. What you're doing is bleaching what you're doing is just expelling the color components out of melanin. But melanin is actually just a conductor. We'll get more on that in my melanin studies podcast. Now, the ley lines are what all energetic beings get their source from. Now, originally, we had bison that ran freely. All sorts of cattle and all sorts of animals run on ley lines. And that's why they choose to hunt animals, and then they even keep the skins. They take them to a taxidermy and keep the skin and make it into a statue or whatnot. Get it stuffed and whatnot. And that's because when you kill animals, when you kill life, you get energy, you get power, and that's where you get your blood sacrifice and all that shit from, all that Illuminati ass shit. And that's because they're actually taking power. Now, let's go. The ley lines, so anyway, when the bison ran, what the bison did was stomp the ley lines. That's why you hear generators. You think generators are running off gas. No, the gas is powering a vibrator mechanism inside the generator and making it mutate and vibrate at a fast pace that sucks the energy from out of the ground. You know what I'm saying? It's stomping the yard. That's all a generator is. That's why, we're gonna keep going though. And the animals used to run in the they used to use the paths of the ley lines. Now you have, the animals created all the interstates, all the highways, etc. That's why freeways were built, and that's why they're up in the air. Because those are really strong parts of the ley line. Those are really they're tapping in, and that's why they send that concrete mixed with metal to tap into the ley lines, and it brings it up, and that's why the cars move faster. You know what I'm saying? Anywhere there's ley lines everywhere. Cars move off more than gas and more than combustion. They actually move off energy too. And if you were to get a car, there's no way to prove it, but if you were to get a car with metal tires, it would never stop. It would never stop. No mechanical issue could stop it at all, unless the motor physically locks up. Anyway, or if you could get a hover devices actually harness energy too, and that's going to be the transportation of the future, and they're going to run along ley lines, and then they're going to come out with these tube thingies that transport people also, and they're going to be harnessed off ley lines. We're just going to pretty much float inside of them like atom accelerators. Alright, anyway, so that brings up my next topic, which is, we already did the freeways. See, the freeways used to be the free people way. You know what I'm saying? That was the free people ways. And we'll get on that more, because those are actually running directly in concordance and directly online with the spiritual realm. People don't know that. And that's how you stay protected when you're up there. If not, you couldn't ride on you couldn't ride up in the sky like that without spiritual protection. And I'll get more on that later. There's no such thing as gravity either, by the way. Now, the tunnels, now that we talked about freeways, ley lines, electric bodies, electricity, buried cities, and the Grand Canyon, let's talk about the tunnels under the earth, which should be 0.7. Now, hollow earth, which we tapped on earlier. See, when Harriet Tubman freed the slaves, she was using the tunnels that were already under the earth. The Underground Railroad was actually an underground, what they thought was a cave system, what was actually is an ancient mining shafts, you know what I'm saying, which are actually tunnels. And they travel everywhere, all over the Americas, in every square inch of the Americas, there is tunnels under there, under just this plane level, and then it goes levels and levels and levels and levels and levels into infinity, as far as we know. Now, that brings us to the next topic. We talked about under the ground. Let's talk about over the ground. Now, I said that they buried the cities. This whole place, the Americas, were covered in cities. So they buried them. When you see trees, these are actually just the tops of trees. These are just the antennas of trees sticking out. These aren't actual trees sticking out. These are just the antennas sticking out, because they buried the actual trees. And so the antennas come out. So this is how they test. See, some people don't know, but you even learn in school that trees take in carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide and different types of poisons and radical elements out of the sky, out of the air, such as what do you call those things? Chemtrails, all that. Trees suck in that stuff, and they are antennas, so they analyze the particles, and they send all the information down to the MERS. Now, Earth is just a crust, because if you look at it, the Earth, the place we call Earth, is shaped like a pie. And the pie crust around the edge is that good part that everybody likes, usually stuffed with cinnamon and sugar, but that part is what we call the ice wall, etc., and which is melting. And you can look at that as just like the crumbling that is happening to the pie as you cut into it. Now, so Earth, the pie, but every place has the pie. You know what I'm saying? Every place has the pie, and each planet, each plane. You know what I'm saying? You have many planes, which we call planets, like it's a baby, like a chicklet. You know what I'm saying? Think about a chicken. And then what do you call a baby chicken? You call a baby chicken a chicklet. So this is a baby plane would be a planet. So the real term for planet would be planlet. Like planlet. You know what I'm saying? Planlet. Because it lets you plan whatever you want. You can manifest your own reality on these mini planes. Okay, now, we talked about the crust of the pie. And I say that because inside the earth is filled with the fruit. And we see that because, think about it. When you bust open a pie, what do you get? You get your fruit and you get your, what would you call that stuff? Well, I don't know what you would call that stuff. The berry juice. right? The thick berry juice stuff be in there with the pie. It's not just fruit just sitting there. It has the fruit juice with it. You know what I'm saying? In a, what would you call it? Like a syrupy form, the fruit syrup or whatever you call it. You know what I'm saying? And it's the same way. This oil that we use, that we get out of the earth and we refine and make gas and all sorts of things, that oil, that petroleum oil is like that stuff I was trying to describe, that wetness that be around the fruit, you know, the filling, yeah, that's the oil. And then you can look at the fruit of the pie as the minerals and jewels and different elements that we pull out of. Now, the next key would be, okay, so we touched on two keys. When I said how do microwaves dissipate, another key was trees block 5G. Now, not only do trees block 5G, they do it the same way they do air. I mean, the same way that they purify the air and test the air, the trees also purify microwaves, sound waves, light waves, etc., and send it back out purified. Now, they do it through photosynthesis, just how they take in everything else. Now, at this day and age, we hear about them pulling the troops in. You know, there's always wars going on in the world, and so America is always in everybody's business, and we always at war with people, so our troops are always out, and presidents always come in, and that's their thing. We're going to pull the troops in, and that's what this podcast is about. That's what all my podcasts are about. That's what this channel is about. That's what my YouTube channels are about, etc. It's about pulling the troops in. Who are the troops? The troops are the ancient people of America, especially the ancient Israelites of America, because we got to know that there were more than just Israelites here. You had people of different nationalities, but to the 12 tribes of Israel, y'all are the troops. And that's why I sent out the vibrations, because slowly but surely we're pulling in the troops. Now, the next key, that brings up the topic of the next key, which is a place to retreat. Now, when we pull in our troops, the Israelites, the ancient Americans, the ancient Atanchans, our people, when we pull in our people, we have to have what? A place to retreat. The place to retreat is being back to the land. When we get back on the land, we become different beings. We become true indigenous. We become true sovereigns. That's the only way to be truly sovereign, is to live on the land. And I'm going to get on that in my sovereignty podcast. Now, I know y'all hear the fact that I'm giving out different podcasts I'm gonna be doing, and so this is gonna be a real versatile channel. If you follow it, if something doesn't apply to you, or some type of information you don't like or you can't use, just let it. If it don't apply, let it fly, and don't unfollow me. You know what I'm saying? Like, listen to the information. It's good, right knowledge. Now, when we pull in as troops to our place of retreat, we become free people on the land. And those are the true sovereigns. You have to be a free people on the land. And people is plural, so it can't be just you by yourself. You got to share the knowledge and bring the people in and offer them a retreat. you're pulling in the troops. So that's each of our goals, is to try to link up and become a people, become a community, a real community on the land with each other in perfect unity against all enemies, against all foe, against all ops. Now, since we touched on sovereignty, that brings in the next key, which is sovereigns don't got shit on indigenous. And that's because we are the original people of this land. We are the free people on the land and of the land, in the land, over the land, through the land, even up under the land, across all land. We are extraterrestrials. We go to the extra terra on the astral plane. Alright, check this out. That brings me to the next topic. If you're not a free people living as a community on the land, if your troops aren't pulled in, your troops are out abroad, and that means they're not living sovereign. That means they're not living like the ancestors, and therefore they live where? Reservation. That's why they call them reserve troops. Our people are being kept in reservations as reserve troops. They're breeding us for entertainment purposes. They're breeding us for genetic purposes. They're breeding us for organ harvesting purposes. They're breeding us for all different kind of purposes. And they're keeping us on reservations. How to identify a reservation is, it's a city, it's a county, it's a place where you are divided in cubicles called apartments, called houses, where strangers live about you, where you have no peace, you have no sense of community, but they call them communities, where you could be next to anybody, and you get what I'm saying, where you have to be in the rat race, which is, oh, I gotta make money because I have to pay bills. Free people on the land don't pay bills. Free people on the land live free. And if they choose to work outside, or we start businesses, really. We don't work. We work towards common goals. Working is working towards a common goal. You know what I'm saying? That's what I do. If I get a job, I'm 27 years old, and now I just started getting jobs just to work toward common goals. Before then, I was always what my ancestors were, trapper. You know what I'm saying? Back then they trapped skins and animals for food and clothing and shelter, and now, you know, we still trapping. Now, the biggest reason why they have us on these reservations is because of our DNA. Our DNA is different from any other creature, any other people, in any other land. Our DNA can be used to cure anything. Our DNA is superior. Whenever our DNA is harnessed, they are able to do anything with it. You get what I'm saying? They make clones, and they use our clones to populate other worlds. We make clones to keep our lines going, and our clones are our children. You get what I'm saying? The earth. You get what I'm saying? And matter of fact, we're gonna do this segment in 2 halves. How about that? No. I'ma run it. I ain't gonna run from it. I'ma run it. Now, so we talked on earth is the crust of the pie. Now, how do microwaves dissipate? Now, in this day and age, everybody is talking about the crown virus. I like to call it the crown virus because it's affecting everybody's crown, which is their mind. It's affecting their minds more than anything. If people are dying from it, they're dying from hysteria. They're dying from, I run a psychology podcast, so I would say that they're actually dying from the hysteria, from being scared, from the phobia of the crown virus, and it's affecting. So this is a psychological virus, and it's crazy that I manifested as Chief Sabi Indigenous, and my medicine is psychology. Now, ancient psychology. Now, how do microwaves dissipate? We all know that the waves that they use, that they try to lie and say come from satellites, but actually come from these towers, which are now being converted into 5G towers. But you know, we got 4G towers, etc., etc., etc. Now, the LTE on your 4G LTE, like I'm looking at right now on my phone, that means long-term evolution. And like I keep telling everybody, the crown virus, everybody will catch it, and it's gonna change you. This is a DNA evolution. The crown virus is a DNA evolution, and I'll make a podcast on that in some videos. My YouTube channel is I Am You Indian, by the way. I Am You Indian, or you can type in Chief Sabi Indigenous, and it'll still bring you to I Am You Indian. Now, the radiation, not only the microwaves and the different frequencies are blocked, how they dissipate, how they are blocked, then dissipate, but also radiation, and that is through trees, through these antennas that we call trees. And that's why it's important for us to live outside of the cities, because the bricks do the exact opposite. They allow it to come in and they amplify it. See, brick houses amplify the 5G, or they amplify the signal. Have you ever noticed that your signal still works inside and outside the house? You get what I'm saying? And when you're at home, that's why they get your address, so they can send the signal straight to your concrete, straight to your house, through your concrete, etc. Now, okay, so they're all blocked. You block all that shit from trees. That's why it's important for us to live outdoors, and for us to live outside of these cities, and for us to live not outdoors. When I say outdoors, I mean for us to live outside of these cities, and those are doors. It's hard for some people to leave the city. It's hard for some people to get land and live like the ancestors did, but that is the original way. And I'm gonna make a whole podcast, and that's gonna be my main thing, y'all, because it's great for the psyche, it's great for the physical, it's great for your health, it's great for your mental, etc. Off-grid living, and that's why they call it off-grid. But in all actuality, you're on grid because you're straight tapped into the ley lines. You're tapped straight into the ley lines. Now, our clones are our children. We make mistakes. When it come to DNA, we make big mistakes. We breed with anybody. We don't ever screen who we're breeding with. We don't check them if their minds are right. A proper DNA screening should be done on any potential partner. A DNA screening should be done, and that's checking their ancestors' mind and psyche, checking their ancestors' emotions, seeing whether this person is an empath or a narcissist, etc. Check out my narcissist podcast. I'm gonna be uploading to that frequently, and I'm also gonna be uploading. Just stay tuned. Make sure you press follow. Now, when you bring up DNA, you gotta bring up ancestral DNA, and ancestral DNA is coming in at number 17. Woo, we knocking them off fast. Now, each one of these 20 points podcasts I see we're going to be doing it upwards of 40 minutes. If you're still here, congratulations. You don't have a short mind, a short attention span. You're not ADD. You can focus, and you can get right knowledge. And hopefully you're taking notes, or hopefully you're downloading this podcast. Check it out. It will be on YouTube also. And I would appreciate it. Anybody that hears this podcast, if you would go to YouTube and also watch the video there, at least for 5 minutes, so I can get a nice view and a nice stat. And I would appreciate it. That's how you can support me. I also have a Cash App. If you have it, I'm open for it. I do have 6 children. And so we are open for blessings. You know what I'm saying? We are open for blessings. And my Cash App is $IR content. $IR content. Now, Ancestral DNA is the DNA which comes purely from the ancestors, which means it has not been mixed. No, it's not. When I say it's not being mixed, I mean that you don't have any alien DNA. You don't have alien DNA. You may have reptilian DNA. You can have reptilian DNA, cosmic DNA, Messiah DNA, and other types of DNA. And I'll do a DNA podcast. Now, my other podcasts, all the ones I mentioned, are going to be short podcasts. I'm going to write them out with vital information, give you reference points and things of that nature, and give you raw insight. Now, but they're going to be short and sweet, probably 20 minutes or less. So just be ready. This is a class. I'm going to stop calling it a podcast. We're going to call it a pod class. Now, Ancestral DNA comes straight from the ancestors. It comes from the ancients. It's really ancient astral. Ancestral is the 2 words. You can break it down as ancient astral. You know what I'm saying? It's ancient astral DNA. You know what I'm saying? Okay, let's keep going. That brings in the next point, which is the ancestors themselves. See, from the ancestor comes the ancestral DNA. Ancestral DNA is what gives us our power. Now, our power is mental power, spiritual power, energetic power, electrical power, all different kind of power. Mind power, sight, power, like visions, etc. Like, it's really, really ancient. And it runs through our DNA. And that's what they call junk DNA. They call our ancestral DNA junk DNA. They are so funny. You know who they are. Now, the ancestors are the Mers. You know what I'm saying? They are the Mers. They are the people who came from another land, another galaxy, and came over here. They came from another galaxy. And we're going to have an Ancients podcast, and I'm going to run you down about the Ancients. It's going to be sublime. It's going to be real, real good. Now, when we talk about the ancients can be seen as spiritual beings. And we know the spirit was blown from, that's why I say the ancestors are awakening, because it's the spirit of the ancestors. And it's that ancestral DNA which they call junk DNA. You get what I'm saying? And that is the last 2 points in this 20-point category is going to be higher and lower self. And the higher self is that which comes straight from the Most High. It was blown throughout throughout this land, this earth land, throughout every land. Do you get what I'm saying? All life originated on one planet. All life originated on one planet. But yet again, that one planet. Let me rephrase that. We're going to keep it simple. All life originated on this plane. This plane. Because life means living in the physical. That's life. When we're not in the physical, we're in what we call the essence, and that's what we pass on to. So when you say someone passed, that's a celebration. You should celebrate that because they have passed on into the essence. And right now we're just in life, which is a lie. It's a lie with freedom trapped in between it. You know what I'm saying? So check this out. Now, the higher self and the lower self. Now, the lower self is that which is the animalistic parts of us, the want to eat. The not only the basic needs and necessities we have, but also sex, bad thoughts, anger, anything like that. Any kind of lower self activities like that is the lower self, the physical. Those things don't happen when you're in the higher self. When you're purely in the higher self, it is impossible for someone to be purely God in flesh, like purely just God, because they live in the physical, and the physical is the manifestation of the lower self. So when you transmutate, when you pass on to the essence, that's your pure higher self, leaving the lower self. And without the two selves combined, the lower self is inanimate. And it's inanimate. It doesn't move at all. It's just literally physical. Now, I hope you all enjoyed that. We're going to run it. I'm just going to name the things we did in this podcast. We got the Grand Canyon. We got buried cities. We got electricity. We got electric bodies, ley lines, freeways equals free people way. Tunnels under the earth. Earth is the crust of the pie. How do microwaves dissipate? Trees block 5G. A place to retreat. Pulling the troops in. Free people on the land. Sovereign don't got shit on indigenous. Reservations. DNA. Ancestral DNA, which is ancient astral. The ancestors. Lower self. Higher self. And it is finished. Now, that I said it is finished, this podcast was done on Easter. And, was done on Friday, Good Friday. And Good Friday is the day when our brother, Jesus, the Christ, passed on into the essence. Now, they say on the third day, on this Sunday, and they call it the third day, that Sunday he rose again, and we call it Easter. The Eastern stars come from that. That's where they get that from. And we're going to build on that and about the colors of Easter and everything. I'm going to do an Easter podcast, so make sure you press follow. And anyway, you all, it's much love. Peace, higher powers. When I call you higher power, and that's because you are a higher power. We function on a higher self, and you do got power. I love you all. It's peace. Higher power. Back in the booth.
Savior, not the doctor but the realist. No time for the pictures. I'm on the tube just building, and I grew up on the block with the killers. We was thugging it out. Trying to down a few rocks, yeah. Crippin' like back in the 80s. I never shot a 380. I'm trying to kill him, little baby. I was 11 when I got my first Glock. And I'm an Indian chief, yeah. And I'm real proud of it. Except the Christ he live inside of me. Even though I changed my life, I'm still riding. Still ride around with the Glock. Call me black or African. Guarantee, little baby, if I come through your lane, you know I'm punching your eye. Vagabond in my city. They used to love me like big, yeah. But if I die, they call me Pac, Chief and 7 Indigenous, the Realist. If I smell smoke, I'm fanning it out. That's the only point I could get. I couldn't keep going. Look. Me and my bestie just vibing. We in the Charger just riding. She feel the consciousness inside me. And if I'm not around her, you know I miss her. I be fanning it out. She keep me calm when I'm angry. You know what I should say, man. If she wasn't rocking with me, I'd be right back with them stones, big right on the block. I'm not green like the Hulk, yeah. Try me, I'm right at your throat, yeah. I'm indigenous, I ain't came across on the seas on the boat, and I got the dope in the drop. I'm out the east, not the south. Keep my name out the mouth. Freestyle it on out. Freestyle it on out. You know what I'm saying? Huh? I just hop on a look. This is another one. Damn, buy me a new gun. I got another drum. I made another nigga run. Hop with another bomb. Boom, it go kaboom winner. I be with the sun. I got Jody and Mari, they're my sons. Screaming, daddy is sorry. You know I'm on my way and I'm about to come. You know I'm on my way and I got about 3 guns. One in the trunk and one in my lap. One sitting right beside me and you know that it's strapped. And I be freestyling. I be like wild and no out. Got the dope in the drought. Got the goals in my mouth, not no more. Stomp down on them. Stomp down on them. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? But I can't cuss and stuff.